Well, earlier this month, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in France for a two-day visit. He held crucial talks with the French President Emmanuel Macron, outlining a roadmap for the next 25 years of the Indo-France ties. However, the joint statement released after the bilateral talks between Prime Minister Modi and Macron did not have the key details on the defence deals that are in the works, including the 26 Rafale jets for the Indian Navy, the combat aircraft engine deal and the Scorpene submarine deal. Sources have now indicated that India and France are yet to conclude negotiations on the technical and commercial aspects of the Rafale jet deal with France, and that is why it was not mentioned in the joint statement. Sources in the French administration have also stated, we do not want to put any contract because it will be finalized later. But India has made it clear that it wanted to get Rafale Navy jets and 3 new Scorpene submarines. Now negotiations will take place to finalize the deal. One should not read too much into it, unquote. The Defence Acquisition Council cleared the Indian Navy's proposals to acquire 26 Rafale jets and 3 submarines from France on July 13, the day the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi began a 2-day visit to Paris. Negotiations will now be done by entities on the 2 sides, including French firms and the Indian Defence Ministry's Department of Procurement. Meanwhile, the leaders also announced a roadmap for joint action in the Indo-Pacific region and said that they are finalizing an Indo-French development fund to jointly finance sustainable development projects by other nations in the region. For more on this, our principal diplomatic correspondent Siddhant Sibal is now joining us live from New Delhi. And Siddhant, both sides reiterating and re-emphasizing that the deal is on and on track. Tell us, what are your sources indicating at this point?
Well, yes, when the joint statement was released, in fact, it's a vision statement that was released giving out a roadmap for next 25 years. There was no mention of the Rafale and the Scorpene deal, and that, of course, raised many eyebrows. Now, sources have now confirmed that the deal is on. The only concern or the worry which many were raising is when the deal will be completed. So that will take a process. Right now, what is being talked about or negotiated about is first about the price. Secondly, about the Make in India component as well. Remember, India has been focusing on Make in India and how they should be manufacturing in India, and that is a component that requires negotiations. But of course, sources very optimistic, both the French side and the Indian side essentially. And also, the focus remains on how India and France can work on co-production, because so far the deals which we saw in Washington as well focused on manufacturing here in India. But with co-production, Paris and New Delhi are keen that there is a collaboration that can be helpful for both the countries, but also for a third country. So a larger partnership between India and France is being chalked out in this vision statement. And also sources pointed out that there was no mention of contract in the vision statement, because that's a vision statement that gives a larger overview as to how the relationship will be taken forward in next 25 years. So that is why there was no mention of the contracts, the much talked about contracts when it comes to the Rafale and the Scorpene deal.
Right, Siddhant Sibal, thanks very much indeed for joining us with the very latest on what sources are indicating about the Rafale deal and other major defence deals that are on track at the moment.